James and Maria find themselves in Heaven's Night bar. And the Heaven's Night is modeled after the bar in the film Blue Velvet. This is yet a third reference to the David Lynch film Blue Velvet. While the creators of Silent Hill 2 are far less obvious or overt in their occult references, when compared to like the first Silent Hill game, which is a different director, by the way. David Lynch approaches his filmmaking in much the same way. He's very subtle. He's not very obvious about things, but if you pay attention visually, you can see everything going on, of course. Everything's right there in the imagery. Heaven's Night is a sacred space of the feminine, right? And it's very much worth trying to understand what is really going on in a place like this. So we're about to explore a side road here and look into the Devi, or the goddess energy, and explore several of its key aspects. So I'm going to use the Hindu pantheon and discuss the different, just a few, some of the aspects of the divine feminine energy as understood in the Hindu pantheon. And these are archetypes that transcend human archetypes, but are very much within us all, that relate to all of us, especially the feminine. And we'll talk about some of the masculine energy as well. So the Devi, and we're going to talk about why this is related to topless clubs, right? Strip bars like Heaven's Night. The Devi, which in Sanskrit is the word for goddess, has been traditionally worshipped in places like India for thousands of years. There are many different aspects of this feminine energy, as we shall see. The ancient reverence for the divine feminine energy has largely been corrupted around the world in our modern masculine-dominated society. As corrupted as this worship has become, however, there are temples in our modern society which honor the Devi energy all around us. Many of these, believe it or not, exist in the form of gentlemen's clubs and topless bars. Right? Sounds crazy, right? Although today, topless bars often exist to fulfill the bestial or the lower desires of the unbalanced masculine. However, there is no rule in such establishments that prohibit one from bringing their higher self into alignment with their sexual desires. So what that means, there's a concept in Tantra, in tantric sex with your partner, where you bring your higher self and lower self, and the energy moves up and down with your partner. And so you are completely owning your bestial desire and enjoying it. But you're also bringing your higher self, your higher energy, right? And so you're not in confliction within yourself. You're in harmony with all of the range of energies, the higher and lower self. And that it's like taking a breath. It's just an inhale and exhale. And those, it moves through the chakras, right? You've probably heard of the 7 energy centers in the body. You can go into a topless bar and bring your higher energy and lower energy and let that, and enjoy it, and enjoy that flow, and not just see things through the eyes of some kind of lustful animal, but enjoy that part, of course, but you're not letting that drive you. You're coming into your higher self and embracing the lower self simultaneously, right? So the divine feminine energy of the universe manifests itself in many forms, including the flower and the human female. I mean, have you ever wondered why women love flowers so much? Right? They seem to have a very deep kinship with them. At the core essence, now when I say essence, I mean the underlayment, the unseen world, right? The unseen force behind the manifested world of the feminine, this unseen force that's shared with the flower, the woman, in human form, etc. At the core essence of the feminine energy, there's little difference between a flower and a woman, other than how they manifest and appear in our physical reality. The flower and the human female are both born of the divine feminine essence. So in other words, this essence is the unseen, an underlying energetic expression of the feminine. This is the yin energy throughout the cosmos, right? While expressed in what appear to be different forms, and yet they are completely identical in their essence. That is to say, the flower and the woman. Or that eternal force of yin energy which dances with the yang, the masculine, and unfolds our reality. Pretty heady stuff, but the point of this is the core feminine essence, the underlying energy which creates this feminine manifestation of physical reality. It's one energy. It's one singular energy. It has different aspects or there's different branches to that tree, right? But it's all the same. This is a quote from Max Müller. He's author of The Sacred Books of the East. I just stumbled upon this guy during my research, and I hadn't read any of his stuff before. And he says, a flower cannot blossom without sunshine, and man cannot live without love. When I first read this quote, I didn't know anything about this guy. When I first read that quote, I thought, that's wow. I wonder if this guy has studied any Eastern religions. And it turns out that he actually wrote several books about it. So this is a quote from Max Müller. He says, if I were asked under what sky the human mind has most full developed some of its choicest gifts, has most deeply pondered on the greatest problems of life, and has found solutions of some of them, which well deserve the attention of even those who have studied Plato and Kant, I should point to India. This, by the way, guys, is the reason why I'm bringing examples of the Hindu pantheon into this presentation, is because it's probably, to my knowledge, it's the best and most beautiful expression and the most accurate expression in human form. It's the most human understandable and accurate expression of this concept of the yin and yang, or the Shiva and Shakti energies that we'll talk about, the masculine and feminine. So Müller's first part of the quote, a flower cannot blossom without sunshine, it means that the feminine cannot grow without the light of the sacred masculine heart. And in the second part, where he says, and man cannot live without love, this means that the masculine cannot flourish without the nurturing love of the divine feminine heart, right? This is something James is going to need to reconcile within himself in some way. Even without a partner, he's going to have to reconcile, or he's going to have to harmonize these energies in himself in some way, right? This isn't explicitly talked about in Silent Hill 2, but this is the essence or the underlayment of what's actually happening in this story. And this is pretty much everyone's story if you look deep enough. This is a quote, it's kind of long. It's by Sadhguru. He's fantastic. He's a teacher from India. And he has this quote, and it's very interesting, and it's a very insightful observation about the state of men and women today. And he says, the worship of the feminine was prevalent right across the planet at one time. Unfortunately, a very ambitious approach to religion became the mode. When conquest became the mode, people burnt the feminine off the planet. And today, the masculine is the only way to be successful. I'm going to say that again. The masculine is the only way to be successful. Look at this poster here on the left. This is a World War II era poster, right? This is very famous. You guys have seen this before. This woman has her hair tied up. She's showing her muscles, She has her sleeves rolled up. She's taking on the appearance, a very masculine type of appearance, right? Even though she's clearly a woman. She may be strong in her masculine, and that's great. But this is all too common a theme for women in today's society, where women are taking on this role of the masculine in order to compete. And this is what Sadhguru is saying, is this is a very misguided approach. And this is something that needs to be looked at deeper and pointed out more. So he goes on to say, we have even compelled women to become very masculine in their attitude, right? This, I can do it, I'm independent, I don't need a man, right? These are all masculine attributes, right? Most women don't realize what's happening. And sure as shit, most men definitely don't know that this is happening. But this energy is imbalanced right now because we have all of this. We have too much conquering, too much I can do it, too much independent. It's too masculine for women and men. It's just too much. We're imbalanced in our society. So Sadhguru says that women have become very masculine in their attitude, approach, and emotion. We have made everyone believe that conquest or achievement or success or independence and all these things. Achievement is the only way to success, right? But to conquer, because that's a very masculine attribute, to conquer is not the way, right? To embrace is the way. Trying to conquer the planet has led to all of the disasters we see today. If the feminine were a more dominant factor, or if masculine and feminine were evenly balanced, right? Such as in a matrifocal society, like a Native American society, they're more matriarchal, more matrifocal. They're at complete odds with our existence, by the way. The newcomers, the Western, all the folks that came out west and settled, their worldview is a patriarchal sort of way where the mindset of the patriarchal conquest, masculine-driven worldview is the land, think of it this way. The Native Americans think in these terms. They think, or this is their worldview, we belong to the land, right? We belong to the land. That is their worldview. Our worldview is the opposite. The land belongs to us. You see the difference there? One is matrifocal. One is matriarchal. That is the Native American worldview. The other is the masculine conquest. It belongs to us. We are we are conquering this. We're taking this. We're achieving this, right? These two worldviews are totally opposed to each other. Completely. They couldn't be more opposite, right? And in order to reach any type of advanced civilization in the future, like if we want some kind of Star Trek civilization that's in harmony, we have to reconcile both of those. We have to integrate both of those and then evolve and go wherever that leads us to, right? This is what he's saying. So trying to conquer the planet has led to all of these disasters we see today. And if the feminine were more of if we had an evenly balanced masculine and feminine on the earth, he says, I don't think we would have ecological disasters because worship of the feminine and the earth always went together. Cultures that looked upon the earth as mother have never caused much damage to the environment around them. Damage only happened when conquest is seen as a way of life. So why am I talking about this? It's because, well, first of all, this is just critical to the survival of our civilization. But also for James, he needs to reconcile the masculine and feminine energies, and he has to find this kind of harmony. He can't just steamroll over his anima, right? He can't just conquer his anima and then, well, I've got resolution here and I can move on, right? That's not going to work for James. He's not going to resolve anything, right? So this depiction here is of Lord Shiva and his Shakti, or that's the masculine and feminine, as it were, right? And this image is representing the harmony of the opposing energies. Only through mutual honor of each other's gifts as men and women do these opposing energies embodied in the human form find balance. Anything other than harmony will be felt to some degree of annoyance, suffering, pain, etc. You could see these as two people, but really, within James, this is one person. This is his masculine, and this is his anima, or his Shakti. And he's trying to, there's no harmony yet. He's trying to find this harmony and balance, right? So first, before we dive into the Shakti, or the feminine, we're going to learn a little bit about Lord Shiva so we know what's going on here with him first. So you remember the theme of Silent Hill 2, sex and death, right? Or masculine and feminine, dark and light, etc. This theme is as old as the universe itself and is personified beautifully in these images of Lord Shiva and his Shakti. This is also the goddess Parvati. And I'm going to explain why Shiva represents death, why Shiva represents the masculine, and all of these sort of things, right? And why Parvati represents sex, and why she represents the feminine. So Shiva in Sanskrit means that which is not, right? Or the auspicious one, or simply pure. He represents nothingness. The nothingness, the void of our existence, right? This is the masculine. So Lord Shiva is regarded as formless and eternal, which is pure as it gets. Shiva represents the masculine, unchanging void of nothingness or death, that the dynamic and ever-fluctuating, ever-flowing Shakti energy, or everythingness, sex, otherwise, known as the feminine, rests upon and plays within, right? After all, a flower cannot grow and unfold its beauty without having the empty space in which to flourish in, right? It's the same reason why men enjoy football, right? Men want to reach freedom. They want to reach the void, the emptiness. This is bliss to the masculine heart. And nothing represents bliss more than going through all of this struggle and pain and conquest in order to reach the end zone. The end zone. You cannot be touched. It's this magical place where it's just emptiness. Couldn't be a more masculine experience and masculine symbolism than like the game of football, right? So notice how in each of these images, Lord Shiva is depicted behind Parvati. And of course, his skin is dark. Shiva's actually, Shiva has become, his whole body's been painted darker blue, but really it's his throat. Shiva's known as the blue-throated one. It's not really his whole body, but it's kind of turned into that. But I think it's appropriate because his skin is dark or pale blue, because after all, Shiva represents the eternal void. He's the underlayment of nature. He's what's behind nature. That's why he's always depicted behind Parvati, or his Shakti, the feminine. Shiva is always behind because he's the void. He's the unseen, right? He's the nothingness that makes it possible for the everythingness to come about, which is why his Shakti is always in front of him. She's dancing in front of him. She's the everythingness. She's everything in nature that's unfolding, right? Things being born, right? The flowers coming out, the everything, right? This is the yin and yang right here in the Hindu pantheon, right? And of course, water by itself holds nothing, yet reflects and remembers everything that it touches, right? This is also a water's, we're not going to go too deep into it, but well, we kind of have, but water is interesting because it has both feminine and masculine qualities, at least in the sense of the Hindu pantheon. So while Lord Shiva is a male figure, his androgynous appearance, right, because he has this feminine and masculine type of look about him, this demonstrates balance or harmony between the masculine and feminine energies. Now let's look at some of the symbolism here. He has the sign of the Om in his hand, right, which is the fundamental sound and vibration of all of the cosmos. In the mountains to the right here, so if you look right here, you can see the Om again, right? Directly below this is what's called the lingam. This is a male phallic symbol, this stone, this is a lingam stone, right? And what is it inside of? It's inside of the yoni, which is the feminine, right? It's the feminine reproductive symbol. It's the feminine organ. This is a yonic symbol. And of course, these two are joined together, pouring the life of water into the world, because anywhere where you have water, you have life, right? Okay, so this is a depiction of Parvati in the Hindu pantheon. This is the Shakti, the divine feminine energy. I'm going to read this passage from Eric Gray. And this reads, "Be very careful what you give a woman. Whatever you give a woman, she will make it greater. Give her a sperm, or give her sperm, she will give you a baby. Give her a house, she will give you a home. Give her groceries, she will give you a meal. Give her a smile, and she will give you her heart. She multiplies and enlarges what she is given." Several core characteristics of the divine feminine energy are below. Note that these characteristics can be cultivated in the human male also, and vice versa. These are creativity, nurturing, intention, awareness, justice, and accepting. And we're going to see all of these aspects in the following handful of divine feminine goddesses or aspects of the Shakti in the Hindu pantheon here. So let's start with Parvati. So the divine feminine energy or Shakti has many aspects or manifestations. In its purest form, Shakti is a wild and untamed energy. The feminine energy possesses many different attributes which are beautifully demonstrated in the Hindu suras, right? Remember, these are not to be understood as gods in the Western sense. That is to say, these are not individuated entities existing in their own right? These aren't Power Rangers, right? These aren't gods in the Western sense of the word. These are aspects, traits, or energetic qualities found in the core feminine energy of the cosmos, of nature, and subsequently in the human female, right? Because the human female is a part of the cosmos, is a part of the nature of everything, right? So just as Lord Shiva possesses feminine attributes, it's also true that the Shakti may possess masculine energy traits as well. There is always a dance between this energy polarity within each of us. So this image here depicts Parvati. She was also depicted on the previous slides. She's primarily the mother goddess aspect of the Shakti. Parvati is also the goddess of fertility. She represents love, beauty, children, devotion, and marriage. She also represents divine strength and power. Parvati is often depicted with 10 arms. Each arm represents one of her distinct aspects, right? Because each arm is holding some object that's symbolic for one of those aspects, right? all of these aspects relate to other deities in the Hindu pantheon, and those other deities all relate back to each other. This aspect of the divine feminine energy is Kali. If Parvati is the mother and nurturer, Kali is the destroyer. Kali is the goddess of time, creation, destruction, violence, and power. Right? Kali, don't fuck around. All that nature creates, nourishes, and grows must also wither and ultimately be destroyed, which is to say, the cycle of life and death, or the yielding of the old to the unfolding of the new. James Sunderland must let go, or must allow some old part of himself to be destroyed. He must submit to the Kali energy, right? So you can see Lord Shiva standing, or you can see rather Kali standing on top of Lord Shiva, and he's completely submitted to this Kali energy, right? This is, after all, what James Sunderland must succumb to at some point. He must come to this point if he is to seek reconciliation, if he is to move on with his life, right? If he is to heal. So this Shakti energy is something that when surrendered to with respect to self-exploration or the unconscious can usher in personal growth when and if certain aspects of the self are allowed to die. James must allow certain aspects of himself to burn away, to be destroyed. He has to let go of these things. This is what Lord Shiva is doing. He's in a state of bliss, laying on the ground here because he's let go of the inevitable, or he's let go of that which doesn't serve him, and he's let Kali destroy it. Kali is also known as the great liberator, whom brings forth moksha, or enlightenment. Notice Lord Shiva has surrendered himself to what we would rightly call the inevitable of Kali. He's entered a state of moksha here. He has completely let go, and he accepts what is. He's accepting whatever form of truth he's accepting, he's surrendered to it fully, instead of struggling against that which he cannot control, right? A woman's energy can reduce most men to a smoking pile of rubble emotionally, right? A lot of men don't realize this, but most women know this, right? This is just a fact. However, the masculine, which can be present and surrender to her, that is to say, honor and accept this energetic teaching from the feminine, will most certainly be bestowed upon him a great treasure from the feminine heart, right? That is, of course, if her intention and his intention, both of the masculine and feminine, or the man and the woman's intention, are pure, right? Kali. Wow. And she's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. She's 10 arms. She has 10 arms. She has all these heads on her belt. Notice it's all men, right? This isn't, I mean, on its face, if you were to look at this, you go, well, this woman clearly hates men. Boy, she has something out for men. I mean, she's just, look at these skulls around her neck, and she just wants to kill men, right? This is such a profound image, and there's many different images of Kali, but they're all very similar in this way that Shiva is surrendering to this inevitable, right? Belt made of arms. I know, right? Arms, heads, skulls. So let's move on to the next aspect. This is Saraswati. This divine feminine energy is the goddess of music, art, learning, knowledge, wisdom, and speech. Here she is seen playing or depicted playing the veena or the Saraswati veena. This is not the sitar. Saraswati is the creative aspect of the feminine energy, always exploring, seeking, and growing in these directions. Saras in Sanskrit means pooling water, and Vati means she who possesses. The goddess is depicted in many forms. So the Saraswati actually appears in India, Southeast Asia, Tibet, Thailand, Japan, right? So this aspect of the divine feminine is embodied and recognized in many places in Asia. In this particular depiction, Saraswati is seen with 4 arms. Each arm denotes a dimension or directional aspect. She is often depicted with swans, which signify spiritual perfection and enlightenment. The peacock that's in the tree here is symbolic because the peacock eats snakes. It's known to eat snakes in India, which symbolizes the ability to transmute the lesser self or the ego into the brilliant, colorful plumage of enlightenment. Saraswati's foot is on a lotus flower, which symbolizes accomplishment through great struggle. After all, it is the lotus flower that rises from the muddy depths to eventually blossom on the surface for all to see. So through this great struggle, right, comes this enlightenment, comes this accomplishment. This theme appears over and over in this iconography. And finally, this aspect of the divine feminine energy or the Shakti energy is known as Durga. She is the fiercely protective mother goddess whom unleashes her fury upon injustice and wrongdoing. She is, unlike Kali, who assists or helps her Shiva burn away parts of himself that he does not need any longer and do not serve him. Durga's a little different here, right? Durga is this sense of almost justice, right? So she's often depicted with 8 aspects or arms, although I found this image, she has 20 arms, which in my mind, from my estimation, pretty much, I mean, she has a 3-pointed, it looks like an axe or something. It's got 3 points. She doesn't have the damaru, but she has pretty much all the other symbols that I've seen a lot in a lot of the gods. So Durga, of course, is often holding there it is. I see the Trishula. She's holding a Trishula right next to the sword, and the Trishula is the Trinity or the threefold divine aspect of creation. Again, that would be creation, maintenance, and destruction. And the drum, the damaru, symbolizes the rhythm and balance of the universe. This particular depiction shows Durga slaying the buffalo demon, Mahishasura. This demon is a shapeshifter. Initially, he offers himself as Durga's consort in the form of a handsome man. Durga slays all of his forms, which are many, in the sacred text known as the Markandeya Purana. So this is another Purana in which Durga sees through the tricks of this shapeshifter and says, I'm going to destroy you. And it's quite a battle, and in the end, she destroys this Asura and he ends up in his true form, which is this grotesque-looking buffalo human monster thing. And of course, this is a good quote from William Congreve. Heaven has no rage like love to hatred turned, nor hell of fury like a woman scorned. So this is Durga, right? Okay, so moving on here in our presentation, Silent Hill 2 probably wasn't created as a story of spiritual enlightenment, right? And yet, James seeks resolution for the discord of his inner Shakti, right? Because the feminine within him is in great peril. He's searching for his dead wife, and He's met Maria now. He's pursuing Laura. He's having these very volatile interactions with Angela. There's a lot of discord within the anima of James, right? He has to reconcile some of this energy within himself, and so he's trying to contend with this, right? But regardless of the intent behind Silent Hill 2, it was made by human beings whose fundamental essence and desires are all the same. Hence, the deeply compelling nature of this story, right? Just like a topless bar was not constructed as a sacred place to worship the divine feminine, is it not so that our desires to experience unity with it may manifest in all manner of ways, right? You can bring your higher self and the bestial, desirous, lower self. You can bring all of yourself to a place like a topless bar, right? Because it depends on the kind of eyes with which you see the world and how much deeper into the true nature of things you want to go, right? So what kind of world do you see, and why do you see the world the way it is? Here's a quote by Shannon Alder. The moon will guide you through the night with her brightness, but she will always dwell in the darkness in order to be seen.